Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope everything is okay where you are. And yes, let's start it with this, streaming because I scheduled this streaming yesterday, but it was so difficult for me. It was so difficult day for me. But well, right now I am free. Everyone is sleeping, and well, I need to you know, do my promise with you and trying to explain what happened nowadays in my country. The last week, everyone who it's focused in immigration matters, we receive in our phone, mobile phone, and very interesting message. Yes, you living here in Mexico, in anywhere here in Mexico, maybe you receive that message about Uno TV. Is very interesting, message news from the Mexican people who it's normal you receive any news about Mexico, the highlights about Mexico. Okay, but the most interesting in this point, it was in Thursday, and Thursday in October 16, and everyone received a message about Mexican government have that intention to increase the prices about immigration service. Honestly, in my case, I was so interested to understand what happens, why Mexican government decided to make this decision. Yes, because everything have a why. No, is because someone decided to increase anything. Well, in politics, not always is coincidence in something. Yes, um, politics and the politics world always something is no coincidence. But in this case, about increase the immigration service for 100%, honestly, is insane, completely insane. And I don't know if you remember that in July, in this year, July 25, approximately, change the rules about, you know, financial solvency here, about people who they decided to apply for financial solvency outside my country, and about that new rules, and said you will apply not by salary for minimum wage about Mexico, because and right now you will apply for another alternative about human, is unit mature unit. No, I'm gonna UMA, unique measure actions, something like this. I'm gonna find them the point. What is the correct pronunciation? But well, that category is more lower about apply for financial solvency. Yes, it was just very interesting, news for any foreigner who they are outside to my country and they decided to apply for financial solvency, because every year before that a new rule, a new law, it was so difficult for any foreigner to apply for financial solvency, because you need to understand that every year the minimum wage here in Mexico is increased between 18-20%. Well, that increase is related to increase the financial solvency too. However, Mexican government made that decision to change that rule about people who they apply for financial solvency. Okay, Right now, after 20, after July 25, you won't apply for minimum wage. You are able to apply for HUMA, a lower category. It was so um the happy moment for any foreigner. Yes, but return in the topic about this stream. The last week, anyone who living here in Mexico will receive a very interesting message about Mexican government have that intention to increase the immigration service, not outside to my country, if not inside. What do you mean that? It's for that I told you I made this topic about everything could be changing about immigration service because 100% about the price for temporary and permanent residency honestly is it's insane. To be honest with you, it's insane. I don't know. A lot of people talking about maybe it's because exists that conflict and that challenge between U.S. and Mexico about that circumstance for immigration U.S. and in Mexican migration. Yes, but I don't know if that situation could you know, imply in this intention to increase the immigration service. But the point here is, let me a second. Sorry, I'm good now. And but well, I'm gonna show you in that website, official website, who the Cámara de Diputados is a spot where a lot, you know, diputados, people who represent Mexican people in any place, in a specific place, is named Cámara de Diputados. I don't know how to say that in English, but those people have that duty to, you know, um, vote for new law, new reformas. That is the point, reformas, new law about a Mexican government. Yes, about every the Mexican law. They make that decision to vote for if something is important in my country, if it's important to, for example, increase price, or maybe limit certain behaviors, or maybe create another law because they notice that nowadays something affect certain specific group, and they need to create a new law. That famous Cámara de Diputados, and it's important here in my country. For example, in that Cámara de Diputados, they have their own official website, and it's important for any lawyer to know this point because um, in this official website, you will be able about what happened in my country. What is the that intention for Mexican government? What is that and and benefits situation about that new law? But the point is, when you are a lawyer, you understand that sometimes politics, when they make a decision, is not a coincidence. Yes, but well, I'm gonna show you that website. Let me a second. Um, For example, this is the website, the official website about the Cámaras Diputados. And the most important here is I'm going to show you that new intention to increase the immigration service. Why they have that intention to increase that. Yes. I'm gonna click this point. Gaceta Parlamentaria is the gazette, official gazette, who I told you they show what is the new rule, who they have that intention to becomes official more later because exits two cámaras, Cámara de Diputados and Cámara de Senadores senadores, and I don't know his the correct pronunciation to say senators. And but well, exists two cameras. Those cameras are important here in my country, but when they are, indeed in the new law, when they approve that new law, that mean that that new law passed to the Mexican president. The Mexican president signed that new law, and after the Mexican, the president request to publish and that new law in the en Diario Oficial de la Federación. The I don't know how to say that, but it's an platform who it's important than any lawyer to understand that if a new law appear in that Diario Oficial de la Federación, and that means that it's mandatory to follow that new law. Okay, but well, I'm gonna explain with you more about it more later. But well, my intention for you is show you that a new proposal about increase the immigration service. For example, I told you the last week, it was last week between Monday and Friday, 13 until 16. But in this case, I'm going to show you in the Wednesday because in Wednesday um, they vote for approve this new fees about immigration service to increase. For example, is this one. And dictamen de la Comisión de Hacienda. Hacienda y Crédito Público is that institution about taxes institution here in my country. Okay, they have that intention to increase any tax about certain products, certain categories. Well, immigration service appear in those categories. But for example, when I give click in this point, appear this famous Gaceta Parlamentaria. I don't know, parliamentary gazette. But well, in this, statement, official statement, is all the background about the Cámara de Diputados, who they need to, analyze the circumstance about why it's important increase certain products, certain service here in my country. Why no? It's why not? Okay, again, in this statement, the Cámara de Diputados try to analyze why it's important increase certain taxes. Yes, or why it's important create this new law. And they check out all the circumstances who they give basis to increase something. Okay, it's however it's important for them to put basis in any new intention to apply for any law. Okay, in this case, my page, my important page for us is the number 12, because in 12 you are able to read in Spanish, and maybe you notice that servicios migratorios, immigration service. In this new statement appear that immigration service will be increase the fees, but what service fall in those increase or in those new fees? Okay. Before to explain more about it, I'm gonna break down you why Cámara de Diputados have that intention to increase the immigration fees here in my country, because they notice something who for them it's important, regulate econs in certain products. Yes, immigration service or migration is one of the biggest important categories for my country, because any tourist, any people who decided to come to Mexico, in addition, that means they contribute in my economic or the Mexican economic. Yes, any tourist, any resident contribute in this economic circumstance. Okay. I need to show you. Sorry. Uh, I noticed that I didn't show you that official statement. Yes, it's this one. Sorry. Okay. I am so eager to explain more about it. But well, the point here is this is the statement. In this statement, Cámara de Diputados mm, add bases about what is important to increase any taxes. Okay, you understand that. In this case, in the page 12, you are able to read in Spanish, and I recommend you read all these paragraphs. Yes, because all those paragraphs give you the context and why Mexican government have that intention to increase the immigration fees. Yes, inside my country, not outside, inside my country. This, because, for example, in the first paragraph say, la iniciativa que se dictamina precisa que el Instituto Nacional de Migración, the National Migration Institute, o Instituto Nacional de Migración, INM, is institute 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 who belong and another institute, maybe the main institute about control, apply, supervise, all related to immigration, okay, here in my country. Let's go to show you why it's important for Mexican government increase the fees. For example, in this one, guys, I'm gonna try to translate in English. I am no interpreter, Spanish, English, English, Spanish, but I'm gonna do the best to translate you this point, because it's important for me to explain this information, because believe me, guys, and I know there are a lot channels who people um share with you information about immigration and about the fantastic tourists to live here in Mexico, why they got residency here in my country. But sometimes they don't show you the deep for anything. Why happened this the circumstance? Yes, why INM make those decisions to be straight or respect the human rights. Yes, because a lot of people is easy to say, hey, the INM respect the human right. Okay, but show me how they can respect the human right, because they confuse, or a lot foreigners confuse that the Mexican migration is the same that U.S. migration, about because in U.S. migration, that people who they are illegal, automatically they will deport in that country. In Mexico, no. In Mexico, it's completely different. Yes, you will get the port, but it's the last um, step that I&M need to do that. It's the last step. It's no priority because they need to know you about if you fall in certain circumstance between another kinds of alternative. Yes, but everything have and why. In this case, about immigration fees, increase the immigration fees have and why. What is the why? I'm gonna read you that. For example, this paragraph or this line say, base este contexto, se resalta que el reflujo de visitantes extranjeros ha aumentado, su permanencia en el país ha adquirido una relevancia estratégica para diversos sectores. What do you mean that? They know this, that nowadays people, foreigners who they visit my country are increased. Yes, increase, but not only enter in my country as a tourist. If no, the foreigners trying to stay here in my country for longer time. Maybe they right now are residents, permanent or temporaries, or maybe they are tourists, but nowadays they notice that a lot of foreigners comes to Mexico and they becomes the new home this country. Okay, well, well, they say that now. What is the why? Who this point, who I read you before, is negative. Cámara de Diputados said it's good for our economic about a lot foreigners comes to Mexico, but is negative for certain circumstances. What are those negative circumstances? For example, in those lines who I put in red and say that este aumento también conlleva mayores desafíos en materia de seguridad nacional, trazabilidad de personas y protección de derechos humanos, por lo que la propuesta estima que el Instituto Nacional de Migración debe fortalecer sus capacidades operativas mediante infraestructura adecuada, tecnologías de verificación avanzada y personal capacitado con el fin de garantizar un servicio eficiente y acorde a los estándares internacionales. What do you mean in English this point? Okay, Cámara de Diputados explain you. They know this, that nowadays, in 2025, in 2024, in 2023, they know this, that foreigners who they comes to Mexico is increased, rise any year, okay? But that circumstance have certain negative scenario, okay? What is the negative scenario? Okay, they say this increase through high challenge in national security, in control of people, and human right protections. Okay, because maybe the Mexico have certain challenge about security. Yes, about the national security. We understand that. But those points who I explained with you in English, they are the points. National security, control of person, and human right protections. Yes, those 3 points for Cámara de Diputados is a problem because yes, increase a lot foreigners comes to Mexico. But the problem is we don't give a guarantee for control about those sea of people, biggest, um, a crowd of foreigners who they comes to Mexico is difficult to control, and more because INM, Instituto Nacional de Migración, they don't have that resources, human resources to control that problem. Yes. However, Cámara de Diputados or Mexican government have that intention to increase that. Why it's important for that increase the immigration fees? The first is for this one, guys, because increase those immigration fees, they invest in certain categories. What are those invest? Let me a second. I'm gonna mm, yeah. Almost my laptop is shut down because my battery is lower, but well, is I upload my charger. But well, what is that news um intention to increase that immigration fees? In Mexico or in Spanish we say, ¿cuál es ese pretexto? What is that? Points who it's important for Mexican government uh, you know make decisions. Yes, in this case is because first they want to invest in this institute in INM, you know enforce enforce the qualities about buildings and novelty buildings, about technology because they need to have a technology who is very easy for them, and make verifications, control the new people who they comes to Mexico, and the most important, training the immigration staff. Yes, the goal about increase the fees is because Mexican and government have that goal to give and guarantee any foreigners an efficient service. Yes, in immigration service. That's that is that pretext, or I don't know how to say that in English, but at that point with Mexican government, it's important for them to increase the immigration fees. Okay, now I'm gonna show you statistics because okay, Luis, I understand. I thank you for translating in English. I follow your point, but show me the numbers. Yes, because in the beginner you told me that the Mexican government decided to increase immigration fees because they notice that nowadays foreigners comes to Mexico and that circumstance increase a lot, contribute a lot in Mexico. Okay, well, I'm gonna show you certain statistics. It's important for me to that you understand these points. Uh, Give me a second. For example, this statistic, it's about 2025, okay? January until August. Yes, it's not all the month in 1 year. Yes, it's not until December. It's until August. Look at this. Mexican government say foreigners people comes to Mexico. If that circumstance increase in any year, that's mean. Look at this. In the period from January to August, tourists who they visit my country were 11, I don't know, 11,000 million. I don't know how to say that in English. You know that because it's your main language. But look at this. Look at this. How many foreigners as tourists visit my country is is there are a lot people, a lot tourists visit my country. Okay, but in the period January to August. Now look about people or foreigners who they are residents. For example, temporary and permanent and residency. Yes. Okay. For example, in that period, temporary residents um, enter in my country 200,000 to up temporary residents. Yes, enter in my country. The period the January to August. Permanent residency is 300,000 um, people who or residents who they are permanent. Yes, the amount, the total, measure those numbers and is in 500,000 residents who they enter in my country in the period to January to August. Yes, it's not all the year. It's missing September, October right now. It's missing November too and December too. Okay, but it's insane. Tourist people, foreigners, foreigners total, according this statistic about INM, say that 24 million foreigners enter in my country. US, Canadians, French, and Colombian, and any kinds of nationality comes to Mexico. Okay, and well, those amount certain people becomes in residence. Okay, I'm gonna show you now in 2024. It's important for me to show you now 2024 what happened in 2024. Let me, maybe it's this one. Yeah, 2024. This one is complete. Yes, it's complete. Do you remember in 2025, almost the foreigners total it was 25 millions. In 2024, where 35 millions foreigners enter in my country. Do you remember? I told you in 2025, in the period the January to August, enter the average to 500,000 residents. Yes, in 2025. But in 2024, um, residents in that period, in that year, entered in my country 800,000 residents enter in that year in my country. Okay? Do you see that? Imagine that those temporary, who maybe they need to renew the residency right now in this year or the next year, because if this new law is approved for both Cámara, I told you in the beginner, Cámara de Diputados and Cámara de Senadores, senators, Cámara de Senators and Diputados. I don't know how to say that in English, but you follow my idea because I explained with you in the beginner. And they are, indeed, in be official that new taxes, well, immigration fees too. Mexican government regulate a very interesting taxes icons in this in this service, yes, in immigration service. But well, this is 2024. Do you now in tourist people in that year in 2024 enter the this number 17 millions tourist people enter in my country. And the point for Mexican government explain, hey, in Mexico increase the the context about tourism. Yes, a lot foreigners visit Mexico. That circumstance contribute in our economic, but it's important for Mexican government take advantages in this circumstance, in these points, to recollect taxes. Okay, and I think it's not that you know Mexico is no who what another country do the same, increase taxes for anything for you know basis. Well, now I'm gonna show you the 2023. This is 2024. No, this no. Um, yeah, 2023. Look at this. In 2024, the period January to December in 2024, enter the foreigners total in my country 35 million people. Yes, in 2023, enter in my country 34 foreigners. Yes, the total 34 million people enter my country in 2023. The circumstance is completely different because, for example, here is in 2024 increase the residencies here in my country because enter 800,000 residents enter in my country in 2024, but in 2023 is 700,000 700,000 residents enter in my country in 2023. Do you see that? But I don't. But remember, in 2025, it wasn't complete the period, the year. Yes, because in the statistic about 2025, I showed you they only counting January to August. Yes, not to December because it's missing. Right now, we are in October, it's normal. It's missing this month, November, December. But the most interesting here is in August in 2025, 500,000 residents enter in my country. Maybe this year increase more about residents who they enter in my country in this year, okay? And maybe about the foreigners total um, increase too. Yes, tourists in this year in 2023 enter in my country this and amount 17 million people enter in this year. Okay, this is only very general. I need to explain more in detail, but I don't want to take your time and explain more about it. But right now, you know the point about why Mexican government have that intention to increase about immigration service. Yes, is sad, honestly, but well, in Mexican, where the politics put, the eye, pone el ojo, is translating English. I was thinking in Spanish and translating English, but is donde la política pone los ojos, hay dinero. Yes, where the politics put the eyes, they know this. There are a lot money. Yes, well, it's for that intention for my country. Yes, my beautiful country. Well, I explain with you what is those you know how the Mexican government are motivated to increase the fees. Now I'm gonna explain with you what is those new price. Yes, about immigration service. Give me a second. Mm, honestly, I've read all these a statement, official statement, because it was so important for me to understand why my country have that intention to increase the fees. Yes, our immigration service. But well, it's different. Honestly, I would like to explain with you all these circumstances, but maybe take me more than 1 hour because we have, I don't know, maybe, let me a second. I don't have that, content time. But well, is the number. Um, Look at this. They are the new immigration fees the next year if this law is approved for both cameras. Okay, is the number. Okay. For example, it is all this paragraph. I don't want to explain with you all this paragraph because appear a lot articles. I need to enter in those articles, and read those articles. But well, what is those news and fees for immigration service? For example, the first is this one: visitantes sin permiso para realizar actividades sin permiso para realizar actividades remuneradas. This one is the common people who they are tourist people who they don't have that permission to work in my country. Um, Sometimes they only visit my country because they have the econs, they have the financial solvency in to visit my country, and they have that intention to increase this amount in Mexican pesos. But look at this. This one, this options or this inciso, it's about residents. Okay, but look at this. This is for resident for temporary. I desire you notice the price. Yes, this is the new price. Do you see that? I told you again here right now is new to watching this streaming. Those prices is the intention for Mexican government to prove the next year. Yes, right now is in discussion because I told you in the beginning exists two cameras here in my country who they have that duty to discuss new law who who does new law will be change the context about my country. Okay, they know this that it's important for them to increase certain categories, certain products about taxes. Unfortunately, immigration service, they notice that any year, the last year, between another last years, they notice that a lot foreigners visit my country. And a lot foreigners nowadays, they applying for residency here in my country. Well, they right now trying to increase those fees, because increase those fees means control the circumstance who a lot foreigners reduce to apply the residency. Yes, because they need to invest in, I told you in the beginner, those news fees about the contest or the intention for Mexican government is invest for INM, Instituto Nacional de Migración, in technology, in human force, for example, and in buildings, in new novelty buildings between another circumstance. Yes. However, for Mexican government, it's important increase that new taxes, yes, in immigration service. But what is the difference? Maybe you didn't know what is the price right now in 2025. Yes, I'm gonna show you what is the price right now in this moment in 2025 in October 21. What is the fees, immigration fees for residencies? Yes, for temporary and for permanent residency. I'm gonna show you that because I need that you know this, that if you overthinking in obtain your residency here in my country, maybe the next year would be later for you, because if those new fees are proof, proof for my country, maybe that circumstance affect you to follow your Mexican dream. Okay. mm, Give me a second. What is the immigration service fees? Okay, look at this. They are the fees right now, nowadays in my country in this 2025. They are the price. For example, for residency is 5,000. For 2 years is 8,000. For 3 years, 10,000. For 4 years is 12,000. That's two up. For resident permanent is 6,000. Do you see that? They are the price for residency here in my country nowadays. But if that new immigration fees would be approved for the cameras, they would be the new prices. For 1 year is 11,000 pesos. Mexican pesos, yes, Mexican pesos. In dollars, I'm gonna show you 10 seconds. And Mexican, for example, in dollars means, for example, if 1 year in 2025, the cost for residency for 1 year, the price is 5,000, and the new fees would be 11,000. That means in dollars is For this price in US dollar is six. Okay, in US dollar, in US dollar. Okay, for you follow my point. But well, right now in 2025, because that new prices have that intention to apply in 2026. Okay, but in 2025, the cost for 1 year about temporary residency is the five um, thousand. Yes, that means in dollars is okay. This is in US. Oh, sorry, in US dollars. Okay, this one is in US dollars. For example, in 2025, a resident for 1 year, the cost is 5,000. Yes, but the next year, if this new fees would be approved for the Mexican government, the new cost would be 11,000 Mexican pesos. That means that the price increased the double. Yes, 300 US dollar to 600 US dollar, the double. Do you notice that? Is completely insane. The more crazy for me, honestly, it's about this one for the residency for 4 years. Because, for example, you know that when you follow or complete 4 years here in my country as a temporary, after 4 years, you are able to apply for permanent resident. Yes, but imagine that. Imagine these new fees are approved for Mexican government. Yes, that means that you need to renew your residency the next year by 4 years. You will pay. You would pay. Sorry, for this amount 25 Mexican pesos. In 2025, the 4 years about temporary residency, the cost is 12,000 Mexican pesos. Okay, I'm gonna show you this one. 12. This is the price for temporary for 4 years. Okay, this one 4 years. That's mean this one the cost in dollars is mm, in US dollars is 600. Yes, in 2025. But imagine the new fees, 25,000 Mexican pesos. 25 Mexican pesos. mm, wow, would be this one. For this one, in US dollar is, okay, it's completely insane. Again, temporary residency for 4 years. Nowadays, in 2025, the cost is 12,000 Mexican pesos. But Mexican government trying to increase the immigration service for the 100%. That means that if those new immigration fees would be approved for both Cámara de Diputados, Cámara de Senadores, I told you here, if you are new right now in this streaming, I recommend you watch the beginner because I explain with you those cameras who they are important here in my country. They create new new taxes, new law here in my country. If if they are agree in certain new law or new taxes, that means that the next year and would be applied the official mandatory those new rules. Yes, nowadays this intention, this new law is in discussion for the second Cámara, senators, but well, if senators they are agree with these new taxes, not only for immigration service, there are another categories who they have that intention to increase the fees. But well, in this streaming, I explain with you about immigration because it's important for you explain you that because this is the channel. The channel explain with you about Mexico, about immigration. Yes. In this case, if both cameras are agree and the president sign that a new statement, official statement, that means that the new year 2026 they would be the new taxes, okay, the new fees, sorry, taxes, no, fees, the immigration fees. Yes, I showed you examples. Nowadays, temporary residency by 1 year, the cost is 5,000 Mexican pesos. That means and $300. Yes, but if the same temporary period, the 1 year, in the next year, the new price would be this one, 11,000 Mexican pesos. That means and 600 US dollars is the double. Do you see that? The double. Now, I told you again, imagine that right now you are temporary for 1 year, but the next year you need to renew again your temporary. However, if this immigration fees keeping maybe they don't increase the 100%, maybe they increase maybe lower, but you don't need to pay, for example, this amount, 25,000 Mexican pesos. Imagine that this statement is no agree, is no approved. The Mexican government denying these new fees. Maybe you would pay 12 Mexican pesos, 12,000 Mexican pesos. Maybe you will pay, I don't know, 13,000 Mexican pesos. I don't know. But makes sense, yes, makes sense. But imagine that if Mexican government approve these new fees for 4 years for temporary residency, you would pay 25 Mexican and 25,000 Mexican pesos. That means in dollars that you pay 1,000 to up in renew your residency by 4 years. Do you see that? Do you follow my point? However, guys, it's important for you be aware. It's important for you trying to update the information about immigration. And I told you, and my intention for you is explain why Mexican people apply those circumstances. Yes, because my goal is explain with you the why. Why Mexican government trying to increase the immigration fees. In the beginner about this streaming, I explained with you why Mexican government trying to increase any products, yes, related to immigration fees. But well, guys, honestly, I hope you follow my idea, honestly, and I'm trying to do the best explain in this language because English is not my main language. But well, I hope you understand that if you right now have that intention to apply for residency here in my country, honestly, trying to don't don't be later. Trying to ask you have someone who requests you, who helps you, support you in obtaining your residency, trying to ask at them about options, or if you are able to read in Spanish, trying to find accurate information in accurate official websites, because it's important for you. Take advantage, yes, because it's almost finished this year. I told you those new immigration fees right now, they are not officials, but if Mexican government approve those new immigration fees, the question for you is, you would uh, would able uh, you know um, afford these new immigration fees? Maybe you are able to fix because it's your native language, the English, and maybe you follow my idea. Trying to ask you, do you are able to afford the new immigration fees the next year? Or it's important for you right now trying to take advantage in those maybe lower immigration fees in 2025? I told you right now, nowadays in 2025, they are the immigration price for residents for temporary, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or permanence, they are the price nowadays. Yes, they are lower. The difference that another new immigration fees. Okay, okay, guys. Well, honestly, I don't want to longer this streaming. Thank you so much. Honestly, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for keep in the end in this streaming. Honestly, please don't forget to subscribe in this channel. If you know someone who they trying to find or seek information about immigration and Mexican immigration, and well, trying to share my channel, trying to give um this channel explain that person who Luis is not good in English, but well, he trying to improve his English. But well, my point here is I do the best share with you all about immigration because it's my intention to help you, give you the information. And well, again, don't forget to subscribe and thank you so much keep in the end in this streaming. And if you have any, doubt or wondering about immigration, please put your comment below this video. And well, I have Facebook page. If you decided to follow this Facebook page, I recommend you because I posting information about immigration too. I'm gonna show you that is this one. And if you want to know more about me, this is my fan page. In this fan page, well, I share you all information about anything that you need to know about immigration service here in Mérida, because I am in Mérida, Yucatan, Mérida, and Yucatan, Mexico. Sorry. Well, this is my fan page. If you want to follow me, and well, I told you I have a lot social media who are able to follow me. Okay, but the most important, if you want to support me, follow this channel and try to share this channel to friends, to any people who you know that they have that intention to come to Mexico. But well, thank you so much. Nos vemos en la próxima. Bye bye.